Ja se izvinjavam što moj govor neće biti na crnogorski jezik. Nažalost, razumijem dobro i čitam, ali nisam imao prilike da praktičem da pričam crnogorski. Znači, govor će biti na engleskom. So, just before I start my presentation on the topic, I'm not sure if we are on the same page, but I believe that the separation of linguistics and cultural studies from social studies is arbitrary, is resulting in fragmentation of these two branches of knowledge which are otherwise very connected between them. Thus, I insist of not distancing myself from the linguistics and literary scholarship, and took courage to submit an abstract in this symposium, which is not strictly a result of either literary studies or linguistics, but I think it is related to linguistics, very much so. So the title is Legitimation Games in Supervised Statehood, International and Local Legitimacy Claims. In the presentation, I will examine the strategies of the international administration and local political actors in the context of international administration. While the claim of, and when I speak of international administration, I have in mind the international transitional administration, which are created and imposed from some international bodies in order to govern a specific society or territory for a transitional period. So we have international actors as political actors doing the job of government, basically governing, and we have also local actors. Of course, this was the case in Kosovo until lately and in other parts of the world. So these two parties compete between each other for what is called political legitimacy. So as you might know, according to Max Weber, sociologist, politics is about any action that aims to control or influence a formation that holds power. In modern times, it's the state, basically. And power, as an essential element in the concept of politics, refers to the ability to impose one's will onto the others, regardless or despite of their resistance. Thus, to consolidate their power, every political actor, group, or institution aims to legitimize their power. In other words, and I'm trying to explain very briefly legitimation of power, what does it mean to legitimize power? To transform pure power, so the ability to govern or rule, into the right to rule or to govern. So legitimacy is the state in which power is justified power. And to achieve legitimacy, political actors use legitimizing strategies not only with concrete actions but also through discourses. Or in other words, narratives that confirm their right to exercise power. In political science, legitimacy has been examined primarily in the context of sovereign governments or political actors claiming legitimacy from the subjects or citizens they govern or rule. And this is internal legitimacy, internal, from within. In contrast to this, in the context of international administration that are imposed from outside and do not emerge from any internal political process, it could be democratic vote, dynastic right, and so on, we need to seek and analyze other claims to their legitimacy. What is the basis of legitimacy of international administrative missions? International administrations base their legitimacy on claims related to the expected political outcomes. Let us call this external or internal legitimacy basis, in contrast to internal. So we have internal and external or international. Of course, as undemocratic governments in the procedural sense, the international administrations are not elected by popular vote and do not have popular mandate, so their legitimacy cannot be studied, analyzed according to democratic principles. However, their legitimacy is asserted on the output side of the so expected outcomes, basically. Thus, the international administration bases its claims to legitimacy on the promises of expected outcomes, such as predominantly building and maintaining peace and security in a post-conflict society, providing governance when there are no functional or local governance and security institutions or structures, realizing the minimum requirements of justice, including the protection of human rights and minority rights. Next, promoting democracy by supporting democratic systems and the rule of law, working to build democratic self-governing institutions and delegating authority to them in a later phase. And they claim that they are temporary, they have temporary character, so they are for just a certain period of time until they help to build, self-governing institutions and so on. So in this rhetoric, the keywords are the keywords of this rhetoric, of this discourse, are as follows: peace, security, governance, justice, human minority rights, democratization, rule of law, the temporary or temporary character of these administrations. On the other hand, local political actors base their claim to popular legitimacy as democratic, namely elected representatives of the population, and often as defenders of the historical rights of populations in the state or in the territory they operate. Specifically, these legitimacy claims refer to the promise that they ensure the continuity of the political tradition of self-government, and that they are genuine representatives of the population. Furthermore, as elected by popular vote, this representation is now based on a democratic mandate. Next, being members of the population or community they represent, they claim that they have knowledge and sensitivity, local knowledge and local sensitivity, and consequently, as insiders of society, this make them more suitable, more fit to govern in accordance with the needs and demands of the population. And lastly, but not least important, consent of the governance by the governed. So they claim that they have consent of the people they govern. So the keywords in this discourse is historical right, popular representation, democratic mandate, knowledge of local context, local sensitivity, consent of the governed. So we have two parties claiming legitimacy for themselves and basing their legitimacy claims on different bases, promises, and so on. So international and local types of legitimacy are set against each other. In contrast, they compete for legitimacy. On the other hand, the discourse of international political actors casts doubt on the ability of local politicians to provide governance that preserves human rights and minority rights and guarantees the rule of law, etc. And this, therefore, constitutes a discursive strategy of the international agent that aims to gain international legitimacy for itself by delegitimizing the local political agent. On the other hand, the discourse developed by local politicians about the international administration as a self-serving, these are delegitimizing claim by the local political actors against the international political actors, that they are self-serving, undemocratic, unaccountable to the population they govern, inefficient, hindering or delaying aspiration for popular self-determination and so on. And oftentimes we hear in the rhetoric that internationals are inefficient, corrupt, and so on. So being opposite, the rhetoric of each of them is characterized by terms that stands in binary oppositional relationship. So we have these, on the one hand, the discourse of international actors put these terms in binary opposition: peace, conflict. So we provide peace. So international actors said we provide peace, while local actors are not to be believed. I mean, post-conflictual societies and so on, they could bring conflict again. So governance, anarchy. So we provide governance, and the risk is that if we leave all this to the local political actors, anarchy is about to happen. Justice, injustice, rights, discrimination, democracy, dictatorship, self-government, autocracy. And this is summed up, it is summed up in: we are fit to govern, they are not fit to govern. The discourse of local actors, on the other hand, put these terms in binary opposition as follows: continuity, tradition versus arbitrariness, self-governance versus dictatorship, external, international dictatorship, democratic representation, international, technocratic, apolitical administration, local knowledge and sensitivity against implementation of technocratic governing principles and so on, regardless of the local socio-cultural and political context.
And just
Yeah.
inform you about the time, so we are running out of the time.
I'm running out of time already. Okay, I will conclude.
Perfect. Thank you.
So governance by consent of the governed versus governance by imposition or conditionality. And this is, again, summed up in the following binary opposition: fit to govern, so we are fit, local actors fit to govern, versus international actors which are not fit to govern. So to govern. So the common denominator of both legitimation, delegitimation discourses: fit to govern, not fit to govern. By which, of course, both parties direct this same accusation to each other. Thank you.
Wow.